today there's a major article in the New York Times magazine on my candidacy. And as far as the New York Times goes, it's not all that bad, but considering, but the most annoying part was the introduction, because it was introduced as me being the radical. Now, that is true. We want some significant changes, there's no doubt. But who are the radicals? The radicals are the ones who stole our government. The radicals are in charge, and they come up with this silly, weird notion that I never understood how the country ever came to accept, that wealth can come out of a printing press. I mean, this whole idea that you can create money out of thin air, it's the most vicious notion, and the founders understood it so clearly. They explicitly said no bills of credit could be printed, which is paper money, and they said only gold and silver could be legal tender. That's still on the books. Reasons to be in support of the gold standard and hard money as the founders designed. First thing is a moral issue. If somebody can print money, that means they can counterfeit. We go to jail for it. The government does it, and the people who are responsible keep getting reelected. I would say the same rules ought to apply. If you go to jail for counterfeiting, maybe they ought to go to jail for counterfeiting. Economic issue, because when you have a central bank who creates money and credit out of thin air, they cause the problems. They cause the economic booms, the economic bust, the inflation, the unemployment. They cause the excessive debt accumulation, and all the economic problems we have are closely related to the Fed, because we as a country don't believe we have central economic planning, but we do have it. The manipulation of the dollar means that they have control of every single transaction in this country. And they're always manipulating and believing they can have central economic planning through a very secretive, illegal, and unconstitutional system of money. Probably the most significant reason that we should resist this method of monetary affairs is the fact that it encourages big government. It encourages irresponsible politicians to go and promise anything and everything they want, never worry about how you pay for it. Sure, we pay a lot of taxes, way too much. Sure, we borrow a lot of money, way too much. But then they still need more money, and they print it. They create out of thin air. So those who want big government liberals and big government conservatives are always promoting government programs. And therefore, they do this, and the government continues to grow. So it is an ally of big government, and that is why you would want sound money. But very quickly, because I'm afraid my time is running out, and I know we want to get some time for some questions, but I want to touch on our lost way in our foreign policy. I take a very strict constitutional position on foreign policy. I think we go to war the wrong way. We should never go to war without a declaration. I am very close to that, and we've been doing this since World War II, especially in Korea. We should never go to war for UN resolutions. I think it's time we start talking about the advantages that we would have if we just flat out got out of the United Nations. Fathers were very clear on what we should have in our foreign policy. Non-intervention. We should mind our own business, stay out of the entangling alliances, and stay out of the internal affairs of other nations. Republicans traditionally have always been on a much better position on war issues up until now, tragically. Just think of how many times the Republicans were elected to get us out of the mess that the Democrats created. Korea happened, and I remember the elections of Eisenhower to get us out of Korea. Nixon was elected, though he did a lousy job in doing it. He was elected to clean up the mess in Vietnam. And lo and behold, just recently, our current president was elected on a foreign policy that I can endorse. He wanted a humble foreign policy, no nation building, no policing of the world. That's what we want. That's what the American people want. Peace is popular. We have a real mess in the Middle East. It's not going to be easy. But all I know is the longer we stay, the more Americans die. The sooner we get out, the fewer Americans will die. And I say go home. Things about the campaign has been that a lot of young people are joining us. They're joining us because they like the message. They like the message of liberty, and they like the message that the Constitution should be obeyed. And therefore it gives me great excitement and encourages me tremendously. So I believe that the Constitution is actually a glue. It brings people together. We don't have people just from the far right or far left, the middle. We have it from all over. The Constitution brings people together. It's socialism and the welfare state that divides us, because once the government controls the means of productions and our wealth, then everybody has to rush to Washington to fight over the loot that they've taken from us. Yeah. Freedom means that you work harder, you get to keep it, and it brings people together. Yeah. Ideas of liberty are so attractive to me because it does what I think is so necessary. Liberty releases creative energy. Totalitarianism destroys the incentive to create and work hard. It's exactly the opposite. In liberty, we find the responsibility being on the individual to promote their own excellence, their own virtue. You can't do it in an authoritarian state. When the government's going to come in here and tell you what you can eat, drink, and smoke, and where you can do, and what your habits should be, they can't do it unless they use an authoritarian approach. It's the same way as telling other people to live like Americans. You can't tell other people, well, you're going to have elections like us, and if you don't do it, we're going to shoot you. But in a free society, you have this choice. You work for it, because if you assume the government can do it, they will only do it by taking away your freedoms. Yes, it is true. A free society demands responsibility. John Adams said it's not going to work unless people are responsible. Amen. That is the whole thing. If we as a nation are irresponsible, we will get a tyrant. And we're moving in that direction. That is what we have to stop. But we have a wonderful opportunity. We're not like the Soviets. Their system broke down, their empire broke down. Ours is unsustainable, not because they will all of a sudden listen to exactly what we're saying about foreign policy, but quite frankly, this country can't afford it. We are broke. Yeah. We're kidding ourselves if we think we're wealthy, because we have to borrow nearly $3 billion a day just to finance our extravagance. And oddly enough, we're borrowing it from places like China. I mean, how long can we do this? We have unsound money, we have unsound policies, and we can't afford this. But the big thing is we want a peaceful, graceful revolution by reviving the traditions and the ideas of America. The Soviets didn't have that tradition, and they're rather in chaos over there right now. It's not going smoothly. But we as a country, and as a people, and as a constitution, we have these traditions that we can resort to. And all that we have to do, it's not complicated. We got into this mess.